It's a search for the truth that has to be undertaken. So it goes beyond culture, it goes beyond religion, you know, and it's to really find the spirit in all things. I think music, to all human beings, really is their language for the Creator, you know, and music has the one purpose of celebration, or to express, if you will, the least oppositional activity that human beings can get into. In Lakota, you know, all ceremonies begin at the, you know, Hochoka, you know, at the center, you know. You convert that to transpersonal, you know, relationships. What it means is to center oneself, so you see yourself in relation to all things, you know, and every philosophy that's a natural-based one all says the same thing.
Tribal people all over the country would have died out if it were not for the fact that they maintained ritual.
No matter what the purpose of the ritual, the nature of the ritual is to unify, is to make oneness, if you will.
I think that when you're spiritually grounded, then you have boundaries in your behaviors. You don't violate other people's space. You don't violate other people's physical self.
music, when it's done correctly, you might say is connecting people back to their own individual realities. And if you don't connect with your own reality, you're lost. You know? So, when you speak of identity, if you don't connect with some kind of rhythm in your life, consistency or continuity, then you're lost. Might as well not be living. We have influence in the world because of a great material, wealth we've built, But that material wealth can't hold itself. It lacks spirit, you might say.
We've grown up with this system infiltrated into our bodies that tells us, and our beings that tells us we should be this and act this, and we're lost.
Until you start really seeing the deep interpenetrations, well, you're not fully understanding your true identity. And that's a lot of our problem, is we don't know who we are.
What is it that young people want in their spiritual search? To me, it's not about, well, how am I satisfied? But it's about, how am I part of this whole society? I mean, God gives you personal strength, or the spirits give you personal strength and stuff, but to do what?
But ways of thinking that have been occurring up until now are just unacceptable. I mean, that's just the hard fact. It's not going to work. And there's, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and thinking you're going to get a different result. I mean, it's just gotten to the point where you've got to try something else now. Anything else, you've got to try something else.
We're at the end of a major cycle, and so we have an unprecedented opportunity to come together and make creative and positive energy out of a big change in the cycle. That's what I think is happening.
In some ways, in the chaos we're experiencing in this so-called, in this breakdown some things of rave culture are just really basic things that people are need so bad, just connection with other people. There's something about the beat, there's something about that rhythm that helps people connect. It helps people communicate. and in different ways, in ways that are beyond just talking.
Dancing then is that kind of non-oppositional movement of the body that really expresses a celebration of life. Whether you're crying or whether you're mourning or whether you're celebrating and having a great time whooping it up, it's still catching the rhythm of the moment.
Raving is like, it's an expression, it's a form of art. There's no attitude whatsoever. You can come, you can be free, you can be yourself. It's all good.
Dancing, sometimes you can see a space of people expressing themselves, genuinely being themselves.
Do you like to dance?
I love to dance, man.
What does dancing do for you? What does the music do for you?
I don't know, it just gets to your spine, man. It makes you move.
Dancing for its own sake really is catching the rhythm of the moment, and all of its different nuances. And each individual who catches the rhythm of the moment is going to express it in their own individual way. But it's the same rhythm.
Why do you come to raves?
Because they're a fantastic way to release energy, and it's a really communal and positive environment that you can't find anywhere else in society.
Why do I come to raves? I really enjoy the scene. Like, for instance, if you look at that, all the people sitting there playing, there's a lot of harmony, though. It's beautiful. Just seeing everybody there, everybody all, like, at one with each other.
I think society, like the world has become massively overpopulated, and we're just way too big of a species, and it just makes everything so impersonal that when you come to a rave, you can find balance between mass and individuality.
I mean, this is an activity that humans have engaged in for thousands of years. This is a return of the cycle that's been repressed horribly in Western culture.
Hesitant, however, when people try and make out every drug experience they have to be this spiritual awakening. I think it really simplifies and just shows lack of knowledge, really.
There's many problems, there's many addictions, there is a lot of confusion, there's a lot of unconsciousness, but at the same time, I think the rave experience does lend itself to the potential for having transformative experience.
To do anything like that takes a lot of self-knowledge, inward contemplation, and daily growth. to really make that of benefit. Otherwise, you're just sitting around getting wasted, no different from Billy Bob popping a brew and watching the Raiders. I mean, you know.
I don't think it has arrived, that movement. I think it's a part of a process of realization and of change. So it's not possible for me to look at the whole rave culture and say, this is it, because I don't think it is. I just think there's further to go, much further.
Ultimately, the solutions to our problems will come from personal inspiration, individual experience that can then be translated into communal process, into creating something that's bigger than yourself. You know, raves at times hint at that possibility or can make it manifest, but it's certainly not a cure-all. We need to move on a lot of fronts.
One of my dreams would be to change the perception and the definition of like a commune. And I think Moon Tribe is a perfect example of that. I mean, we all live wherever we live, and we do what we have to do to survive or whatever. But intrinsically, on a deep down level, we're all in touch with what each other is doing. You know, we all support each other in what we are doing, you know. And then once a month, we get to converge on this spot. Basically, Moon Tribe, I mean, you either have to get in the vibe or eventually you'll never come again because you're out in the middle of the nowhere. You need these people to survive. I mean, this is not like, you know, the Glam Slam where I got my bar over here and the restrooms over here, and it's just not like that. I mean, you know, and so it really takes like a shedding of layers, and you have to let people inside, and you have to let yourself be vulnerable to the situation, and you have to either let yourself get in the situation or just get out of it.
I mean, I see people like crunching little balls and like totally reemerge, you know, or, you know, completely express themselves in no way they could ever do that in normal life. I mean, it's reminding you of who you really are. It's an open forum to people to really open their minds, their hearts, and know their purpose and direction. I mean, this is like hitting home with a lot of people.
We now have to step back and heal. Just as when one injures oneself, one can't constantly move forward. You have to have a healing time. And so I think we've reached that point now where healing is called for, and we're at a place where we need to stop and assess where we are in time and history.
We are soulful creatures, I think, and everyone needs something that sustains their soul. This music does that in a way that's like indescribable. It's just like you and your thoughts and your heart and this beat and the music, and it's just in that moment.
It's a very dangerous time, but I think it's one of tremendous spiritual potentials, and we're in a place in time where that transformation is basically accessible to all individuals who are willing to look at themselves and come to some authenticity.
there's a foundation of human experience that I see as virtue that has to be learned by everyone. And more of the religions that have developed about human beings finding the right way has caused the greatest problems to humans. Because really the right way is to find your own center in the whole existence of things. You know, as things are decreasing, they're already starting to flower, you know? And as things are expanding, they're already starting to decline. We should find a balance with it because those cycles are there as laws, you know? They're not going to change for you as an individual, you know? Or as a culture, you know? And no matter how above it or below it you consider yourself to be, it remains the same, you know? In that this change is the same for all of creation. Nature is what we are. You know, we're not separate from it, and our problems come because we do separate ourselves from what we are. And if we can really turn back to that and see our relationship with ourselves, which is nature, then we'll have a far greater respect for what we share this nature with. And in that way, the world has to learn how to search for the truth.